Slap the money digger girlfriend. Chapter 1, Money-worshipping girlfriend cheats on a fake rich second generation. My roommate gently reminded me that my girlfriend is a gold digger. I defended with anger. The next day, I saw with my own eyes my girlfriend holding the hand of a rich second-generation man and getting into a luxury car. I confronted Sophia. But she said she didn't want to suffer with me anymore. But what she didn't know was that the car she was riding in belonged to my father. Olivia, how are you and your girlfriend doing lately? Have you broken up? As soon as I entered the room, I saw my roommate Christopher standing in front of the refrigerator and he handed me a can of iced Coke. I frowned, feeling a little unhappy but not showing it. Fuck you, you can't spit out ivory from a dog's mouth. Sophia and I are fine. Then you better be careful. Your girlfriend is not a good person. I think she spends a lot of money. Christopher looked at me meaningfully, with some worry in his eyes. Everyone who knows me knows that Sophia and I have been in a relationship for 3 years. She is the apple of my eye and I won't tolerate anyone saying anything bad about her. When I heard Christopher say this, I immediately got angry and tried my best to defend Sophia. Sophia and I are college alumni. She is a year younger than me, and she studies in the dance department. She is sweet and lovely. We have known each other for 3 years and have been in love for 3 years. Although Sophia always asked me to buy her this and that during the 3 years, it is normal for girls to love beauty. What's more, Sophia can always make me crazy and make me willing to do it. I lived frugally and worked various part-time jobs every day just to give Sophia a better life. It's just that recently I've been busy looking for a job and Sophia has been busy preparing for the dance club's activities, so we've been in touch less. But I still feel at ease with her. After all, when she was pursuing me, she told me that I was the one she had chosen for her whole life. After taking a shower, I sent a message to Sophia. After waiting for a long time but seeing no reply, I clicked on her circle of friends. Only then did I realize that Sophia's moments have been posting quite frequently recently. In the past, I would send it 2 or 3 times a month, and each time it was when I took her out for a big meal. Now, if you look at her moments, there is almost one post every day, and each post is a photo of her checking in at various popular restaurants. When I saw this, I suddenly remembered what Christopher said to me in the afternoon, and my heart skipped a beat. At this time, the phone rang. It was Sophia's reply. Brother, I've been busy with club activities these past 2 days and I'm almost exhausted. I just took a shower and fell asleep. When I saw the message, I felt relieved. Worried that she was too tired, I quickly sent her a message asking her to get some rest. The next day at noon, I came out of the company building where I was interviewing and saw a slender figure from afar that looked familiar. Especially the bag she was carrying looked very familiar, just like the LV bag that Sophia pestered me to buy for her on her birthday. I bought it for her with the money I saved from working 4 jobs. At this time, a Maybach came towards them and slowly stopped in front of the girl. A short and slightly fat man got out of the car. As soon as the girl saw the man, she happily threw herself into his arms. The man's eyes almost narrowed into slits due to his laughter. The man hugged the girl and opened the car door. The girl turned around and prepared to sit in the passenger seat. Only then did I see the girl's appearance clearly. Isn't this my girlfriend Sophia who always says she is so busy? My mind went blank and I was shaking with anger. I couldn't help but run over and hold Sophia's hand. Sophia was startled by the sudden change, and her face darkened when she saw that it was me. Why are you here? I gritted my teeth and looked at her angrily. Should I be the one asking you this? Sophia's wrist was a little painful from my grip and she struggled desperately, but the difference in height between the man and the woman was too great. Let her go. How dare you, this brat, touch my people in front of me? In order to show his strength, the fat man pushed me hard. I lost my balance, let go of his hand, and barely stood still. Michael, now that you've seen it, I won't pretend anymore. David is rich and powerful. Following him, I'll be at the top of the pyramid for the rest of my life. And what about you? What can you give me? I don't want to suffer with you anymore, go away, and save some face for yourself. I looked at the woman in front of me in disbelief. She looked so familiar, yet so strange. While I was stunned, Sophia turned around and got into the car with the man. The car door closed, and the man stepped on the accelerator to show off and drove out. Looking at the direction the car left, I realized that the license plate number of the car looked familiar. Isn't this my dad's car that has been idle for a long time? The license plate is my birthday. My name is Michael, and I am the sole heir to a century-old, all-powerful enterprise in City A. I don't like doing business, and I hate my family's control. In order to avoid family marriage, I ignored my family's opposition and applied for the school I liked that year. After a year of stalemate, my family finally compromised and the relationship eased a lot, but it deteriorated sharply again after Sophia and I fell in love. Like all TV dramas about wealthy families, my family strongly opposed Sophia entering Michael's family. I plunged into the whirlpool of love and risked my life for it, so I chose to leave Michael's family. My father was so angry that he cut off all my financial support and joined forces with the 4 major families to ban me, not allowing anyone to support me. I am also a stubborn person. I gritted my teeth and persevered. I thought my choice was the right one. During the most difficult times, I worked 3 jobs a day. I got up early in the morning to deliver milk, worked as a temporary worker in a restaurant washing dishes at noon, and worked as a bartender in a bar at night. Although life is hard, as long as I think of Sophia waiting for me to take care of her, I feel full of motivation and confidence. Sophia and I met at freshman orientation during my sophomore year. I am the vice president of the student union and am responsible for event planning. Sophia signed up for a solo dance that day. But before going on stage, Sophia's dance costume was accidentally splashed with water by someone and she couldn't wear it at all. Seeing this little girl with tears in her eyes and at a loss, I couldn't bear it, so I contacted my sister and asked someone to send me a set. I didn't expect to get to know her because of this, and since then Sophia launched a fierce attack on me. I spent the first 19 years of my life under the control of my family. The friends around me were all from wealthy families and knew how to behave themselves and what etiquette was. The first time I met such a sunny and outspoken girl, I fell for her little by little. I have been planning our future, and I have given her the best that I can, and this is exactly the result I got in the end. Of course I am unwilling to accept this, and I cannot accept that this is the kind of person behind Sophia's mask. I learned from Sophia's best friend's circle of friends that they were having a party at a restaurant today, so I rushed over. When I arrived at the restaurant, I found out that this restaurant is owned by Michael's family. The manager recognized me and I often had dinner here with my family when I was a child. The cost of this restaurant is not low, and it is not something that a student like Sophia can afford. Based on my description, the manager quickly told me the private room where Sophia was. As soon as I reached the door of the private room, I heard the voice of Sophia's best friend. "Sophia, are you really having sex with Michael? He has already discovered David's existence. What else can I do? Just blow it. David already exists anyway." Sophia's nonchalant tone gave me a chill. This Michael is a rare fool. He is so sincere to you. You have been together for 3 years. Are you really willing to let go? At first, I thought he was a hidden rich second generation because the performance costume he sent me was custom made by a master. I didn't expect that after spending so much time with him, I found out that he was just a poor and stupid boy. What can I get by being with him? I have already wasted 3 years of my youth. This time I must firmly grasp David, this cash cow. He is the nephew of the president of the Michael family. Every word Sophia said was like a knife stabbing my heart, and my heart sank completely. Isn't this the poor boy from the daytime? I heard a sarcastic voice behind me, and when I turned around, I saw the David that Sophia mentioned was standing behind me. Sophia and her best friend who were in the house also came out when they heard the noise. "Why are you here? Are you following me?" Sophia said in surprise, then stood next to David like a little bird. "Don't think too much, I just happened to be passing by." I knew how bad my lie was, but I couldn't find a better excuse. After all, I really came to see her, but now her answer is no longer important to me. Just passing by? You are ridiculous. Did you fail the interview during the day and now want to work in this restaurant? David hugged Sophia with a look of disdain on his face, and his fat face formed ugly wrinkles when he smiled. "Who do you look down on?" I was filled with anger, raised my neck, took a step forward and grabbed David by the collar. "You dare to fight here? I want to see how much money you have to pay." David leaned forward provocatively. "Sophia, please stop talking. Since you and Michael have broken up, let's just part ways amicably. We are all alumni, and it would be embarrassing if we make a scene." At this time, Sophia's best friend jumped out to smooth things over. My anger subsided a little, I regained my sanity, and let go of her hand. David was quite proud of himself. As long as he apologizes to me, I will forgive him for today's incident for Sophia's sake. Otherwise, he won't be able to leave the restaurant today. My face turned cold and I glanced at Sophia, who had remained indifferent from beginning to end. "I want to see what you can do to keep me from stepping out of this door today?" David was about to take out his cell phone when he saw this. Sophia realized that something was wrong and quickly grabbed David's hand. Brother, don't be angry. He's just a young man who has just entered the society. Why do you have to argue with him? Besides, he and I are schoolmates. If he spreads rumors, you don't want me to have a hard time in school in the future, right? Sophia's sweet voice instantly soothed David, who was overjoyed and glanced at me. I'll let you go today for Sophia's sake. Don't let me see you again in the future. Sophia immediately agreed. Michael, please leave now. Let's not meet again and don't bother me anymore. You know who David is. If you offend him, nothing good will happen to you. Sophia, why didn't I realize before that your true face is so ugly and disgusting? I looked at the woman in front of me with disgust, and the last bit of love I had for her disappeared. My words made Sophia, who had always been held in my hands, embarrassed, and she pointed at me with trembling hands. Michael, don't refuse a toast. Do you know that David is from Michael's family? He can kill you with just a flick of his finger and make you get out of City A. I raised my eyebrows. Oh? I really want to see how he makes me disappear in City A. The noise we made was quite loud, and it was dinner time, so it quickly attracted other people's attention. After receiving the complaint, the manager rushed over. When he saw it was me, he bowed, nodded and stood beside me respectfully. Michael, what happened? Do you need my help? As soon as she saw the manager coming, Sophia waved to him. Manager, you came at the right time. You have such a big restaurant, how dare you let anyone in? Get them out quickly, or I will file a complaint against you. The manager looked at Sophia and David beside her and ignored them. Instead, he stood beside me respectfully and waited for my answer. I waved at him. No, I just stepped on some dirt. Just go do your thing. I can handle it myself. After receiving my instructions, the manager immediately went to the lobby and asked someone to bring a screen to block off the corridor. The manager's action shocked the three people in front of him. It took Sophia a long time to react. Her face turned red and she was so angry that she jumped up and down. Hey, why is your restaurant like this? Do you know who is standing next to me? He is from your Michael family. Sophia was covered her mouth by David beside her before she could finish her words. Keep a low profile. You know who I am, and I don't want to be treated specially. It would be bad if my uncle heard about it. Sophia nodded as if she understood, but still looked at me with dissatisfaction. I don't know what your relationship is with the manager of this restaurant, but I'm warning you, you can't afford to offend me, and you can't afford to offend David even more, so get out of here right now. A hint of sarcasm appeared at the corner of my mouth. I'm waiting. It started to drizzle on the way home, washing away all the sparks of love that once existed. But the David mentioned by Sophia caught my attention. The Michael family that Sophia mentioned should be my family, but I have never heard of this so-called nephew of the Michael family, the heir of the Michael family. But he can drive my dad's car, so that must have something to do with my family. I took out my cell phone and called my cousin. Sister, please help me find someone. You idiot, you finally got around to calling me? You only think of me when you have something to do. What are you doing the rest of the time? The sister on the other end of the phone was very dissatisfied and started scolding me, but she also agreed to help me check this David. It was already late at night when we returned to the shared apartment. The lights were still on in the living room and Christopher was sitting on the sofa playing games. Seeing me sitting alone at the dining table in a daze, he said jokingly, "What's the matter? Were you dumped? Or did you fail the interview? I told you, it's hard for fresh graduates to find jobs. If you really have no money, I'll help you pay for the rent this month." A real man shouldn't be so sad over such a small amount of money. Thinking about the quarrel we had yesterday because of Sophia, I smiled apologetically at him. I'm sorry for wrongly blaming you yesterday. Christopher was stunned, not knowing what was going on. It took him a while to react. Oh my God, have you finally realized that your sweetheart is a gold digger? I nodded helplessly. You are great, it's not too late to turn back. I've long said that woman is not worth having. You see, she keeps asking you for this or that. Just last time, you saved money to work part-time to buy her that bag, and she shared it on her moments without saying a word about you. 2 months ago, I saw her getting out of a Maybach at the school gate. I asked her who that person was, and she hesitated for a long time and said it was a Didi driver. Have you ever seen a Didi driver touching someone's face? Christopher seemed to have found an outlet for his emotions and kept chattering. It turns out they had been hooking up so long ago, and I was the only one who was still working hard for our future like a fool. At this time, my cell phone rang. It was a call from Lao Jai. Master, please come back soon. Something has happened to the master. What are you doing? After hanging up the phone, I rushed out without thinking, but Christopher pulled me back in time. Don't pull me, my dad is in trouble, I need to go home. How are you going? Are you walking? It's hard to get a taxi here in the suburbs. I have a car and I can take you there, Christopher said as he took the car keys and left. Along the way, I was worried about my father's health, and I felt extremely guilty for abandoning my family for a gold digger. The old house is in the villa area around the island in the south of the city. The closer to the sea, the more confused Christopher becomes. Are you sure you live here? And not in that village in the north of the city? Aren't you too anxious to get confused? I'm 100% sure, stop talking nonsense and drive faster. I'm too lazy to explain to him. I just want to get home as soon as possible to see my parents so that I can feel at ease. Driving to Michael's house, Christopher was stunned by the sight of Michael's family mansion that looked like a castle, and was a little hesitant to park the car at the gate. Are you sure we want to drive in? We won't be kicked out, right? Your dad works here? Otherwise, let's go through the back door. Being too high profile will affect your dad's future work. I ignored him and waved to the security guard at the door. As soon as the security guard saw it was me, he saluted me and quickly opened the door. After parking the car, Christopher followed me awkwardly. I went straight to the hall. The butler had been waiting for me at the door. As soon as he saw me, he burst into tears. Master, you are finally back. Master? Fuck, you are actually the young master of Michael's family group? Christopher finally reacted. He was completely stunned, standing there unable to recover. I didn't care about anything else and went straight to the elevator, took it and went up to the 6th floor. As soon as I reached the 6th floor, I saw the family doctor waiting for the elevator with a medicine box. Butler, what happened to my dad? Is it serious? I asked anxiously, grabbing the doctor's hand. The doctor shook his head and sighed. President Michael has coronary artery sclerosis caused by years of overwork. In addition, this time the lung infection is more serious and his blood pressure has risen. The situation is not optimistic. What should I do? Is there any way to treat it? I asked hurriedly. What President Michael needs at this stage is to rest well and slowly recuperate before considering coronary bypass surgery. When I heard there was a treatment plan, I breathed a sigh of relief, but then the doctor sighed and my heart started to rise. It's just that President Michael is worried about the operation of the company, and there is no one who can take over his position, so he is unwilling to put down his work and rest. Who said there's no one to take over? Am I not a human being? I was so anxious that I rushed past the doctor and into my father's bedroom. Old man, just rest and recover. I will return to the company to take over your job and support the entire Michael family. My father, who was lying on the bed and breathing oxygen, looked at me with relief and nodded. Son, you're finally back. I feel relieved when you say this. My mother was so moved that she hugged me and cried loudly. After comforting my parents, I went downstairs and then I remembered that Christopher was still at my house. When I arrived in the hall, Christopher was sitting on the sofa looking around. As soon as he saw me, he rushed over with his eyes shining. No way, big brother, tell me this is not a dream, are you really the only son of the Michael family group? I nodded solemnly. I'm sorry, I had to hide it from you before. Christopher waved his hand. Hey, why are we two brothers being polite to each other? I know all your ways, brother. I know everything. Seeing that it was getting late, I invited Christopher to stay overnight, but he refused. No place is better than your own doghouse. Unexpectedly, Christopher had just gotten in the car, and before the car even drove out of the gate, his old car stalled. Christopher looked embarrassed. Brother, I might really have to stay with you for one night. My car broke down. Christopher's car is an old, beat-up car that he bought with the money he saved from working part-time during college. It's too old and often breaks down. I took Christopher directly to the underground garage. I have many cars at home, you can pick one and drive first. Christopher stared at the luxury cars in the basement with his eyes wide open and his mouth almost unable to close. Oh my God, brother, you are kidding me, are you really going to let me drive? I nodded. Christopher was my college roommate and only good friend. He once generously gave me money to buy cosmetics and bags for Sophia when I had to eat steamed buns because I couldn't afford to eat. After Christopher left, I was about to rest, but I saw the doctor returning to Michael's house with a medical box. I was worried that my father's condition would relapse. The doctor went up to the 6th floor and went straight to my father's bedroom. After the doctor entered, the door was not closed tightly and was left ajar. President Michael, after thinking about it, I still think you should tell Michael the truth. My father coughed violently a few times and sat up from the bed with difficulty. Why tell that kid? He just agreed to take over the company. Telling him about this would only cause him more trouble. He's not a doctor, so there's no point in telling him. When I heard this, my heart suddenly skipped a beat and I had a bad feeling. But, you don't have much time left due to your illness. Don't you want to live the life you want in the remaining days? Besides, Michael should have the right to know. After hearing this, I couldn't bear it anymore and rushed in. Butler, what do you mean by that? Didn't you say that my father has a heart disease and that he just needs to recover and have an operation? What do you mean by that now? Seeing me come in, both people in the room were startled. Nothing, Michael, go and get some rest. I'll have my secretary take you to the company tomorrow to familiarize you with the situation. My father quickly waved his hands to signal that I was fine, but I didn't believe him and stared at the housekeeper. The butler sighed helplessly. President Michael, since you don't want to tell me, let me tell you. President Michael is actually suffering from advanced lung cancer, and he has also suffered a heart attack. Time is running out. He only has 3 months at most. Every word the butler said hit my brain like a hammer. My mind was in a mess, as if a nerve was broken. At this time, my mother also ran in, tears streaming down her face. Son, your dad doesn't have time anymore. His greatest wish is to see you take over the company, get married, and live a happy life. I recalled my past few years in a daze, and for the first time I felt that I was such a beast. I missed the time with my family for an unworthy woman. Looking at my old father lying there weakly with white hair on his temples, I realized that he has grown old. He is no longer the tall and straight father who always protects me behind him. He is old. He no longer has the energy to argue with me, nor does he have the energy to control me when I am rebellious and ignorant. The only thing I can do now is to fulfill all his wishes to the best of my ability. I went to the company early the next morning. I had cut off ties with my family before, and very few people in the company had seen me. Since I had no foundation, I asked my secretary not to plan that I would take over the company, but to organize the company's information for me first so that I could familiarize myself with the situation. There was so much information that I read until 2 o'clock in the afternoon without realizing it. My stomach started rumbling and I realized that I hadn't eaten yet, so I prepared to go downstairs to grab a bite. As soon as I entered the elevator, my cell phone rang. It was from my cousin. I have found the person you asked me to look for. His name is David. He dropped out of high school and is an employee of our group's real estate sales department. His father is your father's driver, David's father. He has been in your family for many years and is loyal, so we gave him an exception to admit him. I didn't expect that he was actually David's father's son. Thinking of David's father's honest and kind face, it was really hard for me to connect him with David. I packed a quick meal downstairs and was about to go back to continue reading when I heard a familiar sound of laughter and playfulness. I turned around and saw that it was Sophia and David. The two of them also saw me, and Sophia's pretty smile immediately changed and she looked at me with disdain. Why are you here? Why do I see you everywhere? You're really haunting me. David put his arm around Sophia's waist, which was exposed under her off-shoulder floral short dress, and pinched it deliberately in front of me. Sophia blushed immediately and hit David lightly. Brother, what are you doing? It's so annoying. There are outsiders here. David disagrees. Outsider? Where is the person? I only saw a dog. Boring. I don't have time to waste with them. My dad doesn't leave me much time. As for this pair of scumbags and bitches, I will deal with them later. Who knew that the two of them had no intention of letting me go, and David directly blocked my way. Where do you think this place is? Is it possible for a poor boy like you to enter? Sophia echoed. That's right, Michael, look carefully, this is the Michael family group, a century-old family business. Look at yourself, do you think you can work here? Don't dream. Look at what you're holding in your hand. A lunchbox? You're carrying a lunchbox to the Michael family for an interview. Aren't you ashamed? I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself down. Sophia, just treat me as blind for everything that happened before, and don't regret what you did today. Sophia felt like she had heard a joke. This is so funny, Michael, why don't you look in the mirror? I've already told you that David is from Michael's family, and you still dare to come to Michael's family for an interview? Do you know that with just one word from David, you won't even be able to step into the door of Michael's family? Why do you want to humiliate yourself? I was just about to retort when I saw a tall woman coming towards me, smiling and clapping. The woman was wearing a well-tailored aqua blue commuter suit and a pair of black high heels, exuding an outstanding temperament. I was wondering if I could meet you today, but I didn't expect to run into you at the door. What a coincidence. The woman looked straight at me, her face full of smiles. Who are you? Sophia was unhappy about being interfered with, especially by a woman who was better than her. Ms. Abigail? What brings you here? David was the first to react. After seeing the woman's face clearly, his face turned several shades paler and he even stuttered when he spoke. The woman didn't look at him, but kept staring at me. Are you interested in chatting? I glanced at David's instantly timid look, and realized that the woman in front of me must be of a high status, so I nodded and agreed. Then he made a gesture of invitation to her. Let's go. The woman smiled with satisfaction, and when she was about to enter the revolving door with me, she suddenly stopped and glanced at the bag in Sophia's hand. Your bag is pretty good. It was then that I noticed that the bag Sophia was carrying was actually Hermes, and it was made of crocodile leather. Sophia raised her head with some pride after being praised suddenly. Of course, this is a Melly doll, which is not something that office workers like you can afford. It is your blessing that you can feast your eyes on it today. The woman sneered and said nothing, but I noticed that David was sweating profusely due to nervousness. I took the woman directly to the president's office on the top floor. Hello, let me introduce myself. I'm Abigail. I'm sure you've heard of my name. After hearing Abigail's self-introduction, the hand I extended was stunned. Abigail is the eldest daughter of the Abigail family, one of the 4 major families. Parents from both sides had intended to bring us together before, but we didn't expect that due to some strange coincidences, we would only officially meet now. I'm sorry, I just got to know you now because of my personal reasons. Abigail waved her hand dismissively. It's okay. It was just the wishful thinking of the 2 elders at the beginning, but now I'm here to discuss a business deal with you, or a cooperation. What business? When I heard the word business, I became interested. Today, I heard the elders in my family mention your father's illness, and I learned a little bit about it. I know that your father's greatest wish now is to see you start a family. Abigail sat on the sofa and looked up at me, her eyes as bright as stars. So what? I don't understand. So, I can help you fulfill your father's wish, but only if you give me the development rights for the land on Xingyuan Avenue in the north of the city. Impossible. Marriage is not a joke. How can it be used for trading? I immediately objected, and found Abigail's words ridiculous. You can think about it. This deal is a sure win. I need that piece of land, and you need to fulfill your father's wish. After the marriage, we have reached an agreement that you will still be you, and I will still be me, and we will not interfere with each other. Marrying me will not only allow you to quickly gain a foothold in Michael's family in the short term, shut up those people on the board of directors, but also make up for your lack of filial piety towards your father over the years. Why not do it? Abigail gave me a meaningful look before she left. President Michael, I am waiting for your answer. After Abigail left, I couldn't read the information in my hand anymore. Her confident face filled my mind. The office was still filled with the scent of her unique perfume, just like her enchanting face, domineering and confident. When I got home in the evening, my father seemed even weaker. I asked the servants and found out that he couldn't eat anything today and was relying entirely on glucose to survive. After careful consideration at night, I took out my cell phone, took the business card from my pocket, and dialed the number. I promise to cooperate with you. Abigail on the other end of the phone was silent for a while before she spoke. Meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. After hanging up the phone, I still felt that everything was too unbelievable. I didn't sleep all night and arrived at the agreed location early. The sun came out and the sunlight shined through the clouds, warm and beautiful. A red Ferrari stopped in front of me and Abigail, wearing a red dress, got out of the car. The red color suits her very well, like a charming and gorgeous mandala that makes people fall in love with it. When I came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau with the red book in my hand, I still felt that everything was too unreal, until Abigail put her arm around mine. Let's go, husband. The word husband hit my brain directly and made me lose my mind. By the time I realized what was happening, Abigail had already dragged me into the mall. I was standing in front of the jewelry store, confused. What are you doing here? Abigail took my hand and smiled playfully. Of course we're here to buy wedding rings. After all, we're a legal couple now, so we should have a token of our love. I followed Abigail in, and just as I entered the door I heard Sophia's voice. Sophia pointed at a salesgirl and cursed at her. Just give it to me when I ask you to try it. What is it? Do you know who my boyfriend is? My boyfriend is the nephew of Michael's family group. Have you thought about what will happen if you offend me? The salesgirl ignored her, turned around and saw Abigail and me and came towards us with a smile. Ms. Abigail, you are finally here. Abigail nodded and sat on the sofa. A salesgirl kindly poured us some water and brought us some snacks. Another salesgirl took out a pair of rings directly from the innermost display cabinet and brought them to us. Sophia was furious when she saw this scene. What do you mean? You tried to stop me when I wanted to give it a try, but when she came, you rushed to serve it to her. Do you look down on me? Ma'am, I have explained to you again and again that this pair of rings was specially made by Ms. Abigail and is very expensive. If they are scratched, none of us can afford to pay for it. The salesgirl explained impatiently. Abigail ignored her and instead took the ring and put it on her own hand, then put the men's ring on my finger. Michael, what do you mean? After being abandoned by me, you turned around and threw yourself into the arms of a rich woman in order to get revenge on me? Sophia's eyes continued to be red, as if she was aggrieved and unwilling. I used to be the most susceptible to her behavior. Sophia, we no longer have any relationship, and I hope you can be more respectful to the people around me. I warned her coldly. Ms. Abigail, do you know that the man next to you is trash that I don't want anymore? You are not of low status, why do you have to pick up other people's things to use? Sophia crossed her arms and looked at me condescendingly. Abigail's face fell when she heard this, and she stood up. A slap hit Sophia on the face. The sound was so crisp and loud that the entire air froze. Sophia covered her face and stood there in disbelief. How dare you hit me? Upon seeing this, the salesgirl and other colleagues quickly closed the store door and hung up a sign saying suspended business. The store manager even turned off the surveillance cameras in the store. I'll hit you if I want to. Do I need to pick a day? If you don't keep your mouth shut, I don't mind giving you a few more slaps. Abigail took the handkerchief handed to her by the salesgirl and wiped her hands carefully, as if she had just touched something dirty. Do you know who my boyfriend is? He is the nephew of the president of Michael Family Group. So what if you are from Abigail family? With just one word from my boyfriend, your Abigail family will be shut down. Sophia screamed like crazy. After hearing what Sophia said, Abigail looked at me meaningfully. Oh? Then I'm really looking forward to your boyfriend causing trouble for our Abigail family. Seeing that Sophia was about to rush over and hit Abigail, I quickly held Abigail in my arms. Sophia, please stop now, or don't blame me for being rude. Seeing that the dog who used to follow her and obey her orders was now cold and indifferent, Sophia was furious but helpless. Michael, you have nothing to be proud of. It's just that you got a rich woman on the list. Just wait and see. When she gets tired of you, you will end up in a miserable situation. Abigail poked her head out of my arms and showed me her diamond ring. Michael is my husband now. Unless he abandons me, we will be together for the rest of our lives. As for you, Miss Sophia, you have insulted and slandered my husband. Just wait for the lawyer's letter. When Sophia heard this, she was completely defeated and fled. Seeing that Sophia had left, I quickly let go of the woman in my arms. Sorry, I just had no choice but to do it in a hurry. Abigail straightened her clothes and took my hand. It's okay, but if you keep looking at the direction Sophia left, I will really be angry, my dear husband. Abigail's invisible teasing was like a feather tickling my heart. When I got home, I told my parents the news that Abigail and I had obtained our marriage certificate. My parents were happier than expected and they immediately contacted Abigail's family to discuss wedding arrangements. I advocate keeping everything simple, but my parents disagree. They say that a good girl should be married into our Michael family and should have everything she deserves and should not be treated unfairly. The wedding was scheduled for 2 weeks later. There is one more thing I need to take care of before that. I found David's dad. David's father, how many years have you been in our family? 18 years. David's dad looked a little uneasy. Our family treats you well, right? I asked in a deep voice. The next second, David's father, who was over 50 years old, fell to his knees with a bang. Master, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I shouldn't have stolen the lady's things. I was forced to do nothing by that bastard of mine. I looked at David's father kneeling at my feet, and finally I softened my heart. Ask David to return the items and resign from the company. I will not pursue this matter any further. David's father agreed repeatedly, but I waited for a week and still didn't see David's father return the things. I asked the company's human resources department to check and found that David had not resigned. Fire David from the sales department and ban him from the industry forever. I've given you a chance, but you didn't know how to cherish it. So don't blame me for being rude. That night David's father knelt down in front of me again. Master, I beg you, please let my son live. I only have this one son. Considering that I have been in the Michael family for so many years, even if I have no credit, I have worked hard. Moral kidnapping? I don't buy it. David's father, it's true that you have been in our family for many years, but our family has always paid you the highest salary in the industry, including very generous year-end benefits over the years. We are in an employment relationship, I pay the salary and you provide the labor. I have given your son a chance. How much did he take out of our house? Do I need to find someone to count it one by one? In the past few years, he has been bullying others in the name of our Michael family. As a father, you not only did not stop him, but also indulged him. If you don't return the stolen items within 5 days, I will call the police. David's father was completely in despair and collapsed on the ground powerlessly. I fired David's father as well, and used this as a warning to the servants in Michael's family of the consequences of having such evil intentions. I thought the matter was over, but David didn't give up and even had a desire for revenge. Abigail and I had a simple wedding, and only invited close relatives and friends from both sides. The media didn't know where they got the news from, but they only knew that the eldest daughter of Abigail's family was getting married, so they all rushed to the scene. Helplessly, Michael's family had to dispatch a large number of security guards to maintain order at the scene. Because it was too chaotic, Sophia was able to sneak into the venue. When the MC was holding the ring and asking me if I was willing to marry Miss Abigail, Sophia ran onto the stage. I don't agree. The whole audience was in an uproar. I frowned and protected Abigail behind me. Sophia, what are you doing? There is no relationship between us anymore. Sophia looked past me and at Abigail behind me. Ms. Abigail, do you know what kind of man you are going to marry? He is a liar and a thief. Sophia. I finally couldn't stand it anymore and yelled. You see, he got anxious, he stole things from Michael's family and sold them, and framed my boyfriend. My boyfriend is Michael's nephew, how could he steal things? In order to get revenge on me, Michael stole Michael's wife's bag, and then exchanged it with the bag my boyfriend gave me. Sophia became more and more excited as she spoke, and she even felt a little proud of herself for exposing my evil deeds in public. Miss Sophia, do you want to listen to what you are saying? As we all know, Michael's family does not have any so-called nephews, only a cousin. Abigail calmly walked out from behind me. At this time, my cousin also stood up from the stage. Yes, how come I didn't know that my father had another son outside? This time it was Sophia's turn to be confused. She had always believed in David's words. David drove a luxury car and gave her a bag worth hundreds of thousands of dollars without blinking an eye. She never doubted the truthfulness of his words. No way, how could David lie to me? Michael, you just want David to talk back to you to get revenge on me. Abigail looked at the mad Sophia and shook her head. Miss Sophia, please take a closer look. The so-called poor boy Michael is actually the only son of the Michael family group. No one knows the affairs of the Michael family better than him. Sophia's eyes widened after hearing this, she was completely stunned, and she kept muttering to herself. Impossible, how could he be the young master of the Michael family? He is just a poor boy. But I couldn't listen any more. Sophia, I tolerated you before because of our friendship over the years. Now I feel it is unnecessary. You disrupted my wedding today, slandered me and Michael's family, and even colluded with others to steal Michael's family property. I have called the police, so just wait for them to arrive. After listening to this, Sophia collapsed on the ground with a blank look in her eyes. At this moment, a figure rushed out of the crowd, with a cold light flashing. Michael, go to hell. Before she could see who it was, Abigail kicked the person to the ground. The moment David fell to the ground, the security guard rushed over and quickly pinned him to the ground. After seeing this scene, Sophia finally realized that she had been trapped in David's lies. The moment the police arrived, Sophia suddenly grabbed my trouser leg. Michael, I was wrong. Can you please forgive me? It was all because of that liar David who tricked me. I had no choice. Don't you love me very much? Can you please forgive me this time? I squatted down and Sophia looked delighted. I pulled out my trouser legs little by little. Miss Sophia, we are now the defendant and the plaintiff. Please respect yourself. Sophia's gaze faded little by little, leaving only endless regret. The wedding was ruined by a farce, but Abigail just smiled and didn't care. It's just a wedding, no big deal. I am extremely sorry. I'm sorry, I will make it up to you with a more grand wedding later. Abigail smiled mysteriously. I'm waiting. I was very busy in the following days, and the takeover of the company was not smooth, but fortunately with Abigail's help, No one on the board of directors dared to really stand up and oppose it. Only 1 or 3 months passed, but I found that my father's health was getting better and better miraculously. Just when I was still thanking God, I accidentally overheard the conversation between my father and my mother. "Honey, this trick of yours really works. You lied about your incurable illness and my son came back to inherit the company and got married smoothly. Now, can we let go and travel around the world?" I rushed in and the family of 3 looked at each other. I was filled with anger but didn't know how to vent it. After all, I was the one who did the wrong thing first. "Son, my soup is still simmering in the pot. I'll go check on it first." My mother ran very fast. "Ouch, my heart hurts. Son, please go out. I need to rest." Watching my dad's poor acting skills, I felt angry and amused at the same time. In the end, I chose to forgive. I paced in front of Abigail's door at night, not knowing how to start. Suddenly the door opened and Abigail, wearing a rose-red silk nightgown, appeared at the door. She had just taken a shower and her hair was still a little wet, with water droplets falling down her cheeks, bringing endless temptation. "What's wrong?" I kicked my hands nervously, but still told her everything about my dad faking illness. But Abigail looked at me tenderly and said softly, "I know everything. The starry sky is bright at night and the road ahead is bright.